Hi guys, and welcome back to Adam's Aquatics. In today's video we talk about what to do when you go on holiday. So I've just been on a 5-day holiday, and what I'm going to go through in today's video is how I managed to prepare my fish room in order for me to be away for 5 days and there for be nobody to come and feed the fish. So there are a few ways of being able to do this. Number one, you get someone to come in and feed your fish for you, do water changes, etc, 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 or you make sure that they're prepared beforehand. So I went away for 5 days, so I went away from Monday to Friday, and what I did was I prepared the fish room on Sunday, ready for me to depart on Monday. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through with you guys exactly what I did in order to prepare for there to be me to be away for 5 days. So whilst away from the last 5 days, literally there's been no adverse effects in the fish room, so there's been no deaths and there has been no issues with water quality or anything whilst I've been away. So what did I do in order to make sure that my fish were ready for me to be away for 5 days? So for the 3 days leading up to me being away, I fed the fish lots and lots and lots of live food. So I said lots of live black worms, lots of live brine shrimp, lots of live Daphnia. I just fed as much live food as I possibly could, as well as feeding them the normal diet of frozen foods. Now, why did I do this? I did this because I wanted to make sure that there was still a little bit of food left over in the tank for when I'm away, so that then they can scavenge and still manage to have some food whilst I'm away. I was making sure that I was feeding food that would survive in the tropical conditions that I keep my fish in. So like blackworm will survive perfectly fine in the tropical conditions that I keep my fish in. So I also made sure that I washed the blackworms before I fed them to the tank, because I know that blackworms are raised in what is similar to sewage water, so I did wash them thoroughly with tank water prior to me putting them in the tank. So that's how I prepared the fish food wise. What did I do in order to make sure that the water quality stayed exactly where it needed to be whilst I was away? So I did 50% water changes on all my tanks just prior to going away. So I did them on the Sunday night before I left on the Monday morning. So I made sure that the tanks were completely cleaned and tidied before I went away. And then when I returned on Friday, I also did another 20% water change to make sure that the water was exactly where it needed to be. And as I can tell you from my own experience, there's been no adverse effects on any of my fish. So if you've got new fish, what do you do? So I actually picked up some new fish on the Friday before I went away. And I obviously was acclimatizing them to the room, to the tanks, etc, etc, etc. So what I did was exactly the same thing. I power fed them 3 times a day for the 3 days before I went away, to make sure that they had enough food, enough fat on them in order to survive whilst I was away. And like I said, they've all survived perfectly. I'm going to show you the Apistogramma Elizabethae now, and I'm also going to show you the Apistogramma Avaexis that I've also got. I have had a bit of a change around in the last couple of days whilst I've been back. I put the original female into the breeder box on the outside, and I put the male into the main tank. This is because I was given some advice which basically stated that I needed to give the male a chance to establish his territory in order to make sure that he felt comfortable, because when I did reintroduce them again yesterday, she was still beating on him. So I've removed her. She is now in the breeder box out on the outside of the tank, and he is taking up residence in the tank, and I can tell you that he is really settling in fine in the tank. So there's his tail there. He's in there, just settling in nicely. And just to show you the female, she's also on the outside of the tank. So they're all settling in nicely. Hopefully with a couple of weeks of him having really high quality food and lots of swimming space, he'll grow nice and big, nice and strong, nice and quickly, and he will then be able to withstand her. So that's the plan with these guys. Also, like I said, there was no adverse conditions with me being away. He was kept in this breeder box for the week that I was away, and he was absolutely fine when I returned. If anything, he was a bit more personable and a bit more active when I returned from the holiday. So I actually think me being away also gave these guys a bit of a chance in order to settle in and to feel nice and comfortable in their tank. So this is the Apistogramma Elizabethae male, and the female is in this pot here. You can't see her because of the shadows, but these two have settled in really nicely, and he is an absolutely beautiful specimen. He wasn't fed obviously for the 5 days whilst away, but like I said, I did a 50% water change on this tank prior to me going away, and there's absolutely no issues. I put all these plants in like we stated already, which also gave them a really good chance of surviving whilst I was being away. And I'm really happy with the outcome of what's happened. So that's my experiences with being going away for 5 days and not having anybody to come in and feed my fish. So if I was away for longer than 5 days, what would I do? I would definitely consider getting somebody to come and feed the fish whilst I was away. I feel like 5 days was just about the right amount of time, because I could feed them on the Monday morning before I left, and I could feed them on the Friday when I came back. So technically I was only out of the fish room for 4 days without any, 4 whole days without any food. And actually I feel like that is probably just about the right amount of time in order for them to be okay without me being here. So since I've been back, I've obviously been power feeding them. I've been feeding them 3 times a day again, just to get the fat levels back up and getting them back to normal. So when I return to work on Monday, that's when everything will be back to normal and we'll be back on our usual schedule. if you've got any questions, make sure you leave them in the comment sections below. Make sure you like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at adams.aquatics, and I shall see you next time.